Hello everyone. So today we'll be solving the HackTheBox machine Permx. So it's an easy level machine, and to gain user level access, we'll be using a publicly available exploit, and to get a root level access, we'll be leveraging the permissions of a file. Okay, so let's start. First of all, you need to connect via OpenVPN. I have already connected. Let's check the connection first. What if it doesn't work? Right? Yeah. Now we can start with the nmap scan. As we can see, it is port 80 and port 22 open. Mm, let's try to visit the page. So yeah, it is actually opening permx.html. First of all, actually I need to add permx.html into my etc host file. I'll do this in a second. Okay. Yeah, it works fine. Now it should work. So it looks like an e-learning platform, and it is a static web page, and there's nothing much in it. You can also check the source code. Nothing of interest. You can check the pages. Basically, it's the same page itself. Okay. So now, the first approach that we can do is directory brute forcing. Okay, so let's start with directory brute forcing. I'll be using puff. You can use any tool of your choice. Use a share checklists, discovery, web content, and then wrap. It has already found two directories. Okay, let's visit those. Image. Yeah, let's look at the image. These are all the images that are used in the website itself. Nothing of interest over here. Yeah, we can look into those files. These are basically CSS and JS files. I got nothing here when I was solving this lab. There's a PHP file, but you won't be able to view view the code. So yeah, before that, I'll also start subdomain brute forcing. For this, okay, so if you have a doubt why I did this FW18, so you can do, first of all, remove this. You see that there are so many responses, so we need to eliminate uh, those responses with number of words equals to 18. Okay, so yeah, we already got a subdomain, and first of all we also need to add that in our etc host file. Yeah, so now we can directly visit the page. Let's see what we have that in the page. So it is a login page, and we can clearly see that it is using Chamilo. By the way, we don't have the version disclosed over here, but yeah, Chamilo is an e-learning platform and a content management system. So we can try some basic credentials, but it won't work. We can look into some credentials. Let's see, Chamilo login page default creds. Okay, so when I was solving, I didn't find anything over here. So the intended path is like if we check the Webalizer too, it says Chamilo version 1. Okay, so we can view some exploits and search exploit. So yeah, there are pretty much many exploits over here. but we don't know the specific version of Chamilo. Okay, so we need to look into all these exploits and check whether these work or not. But as you can see, there is a remote code execution exploit and it is for authenticated session. Actually, all these exploits are for authenticated sessions itself. You can check it yourself. By the way, I'll directly jump into the solution. So, uh, we don't have the version. Another way that we can look for the version is like we can make a curl request and we can check the headers if it is disclosing any version or not. So let's see. Let's make a curl request. So we can see here also it is showing Chamilo 1. So as we don't have any exploit listed in the search exploit, so we can search the Google for it. Let's say Chamilo 1 exploit. The first one is the one that we saw in search exploit. And yeah, there is an unauthenticated vulnerability over here. Let's check it out. So we'd be able to get RC through it. So we can, I guess we can get initial access using this exploit itself. Let's git clone that repo. Yeah. So if you read this readme file to scan the URL. Sorry, to scan the URL, you need to use a scan keyword with a flag. Similarly, to create a PHP web shell, you need to use web shell with a flag. And similarly, to upload a ref shell and to get initial access, you need to use this one. Okay, so I'll be directly uploading the ref shell and gaining access to the machine. But before that, we need to start the listener. Okay. Sorry, I started at 7777. Let's call it test. Let's call it shell. And this should be our IP and our port on which we are listening. Okay. Let's wait for a bit to work. Just wait. Okay, so I actually entered my IP address wrong. I guess it should work now. Yeah. So we got access as www data. Now, when we get access into a machine as www data and it is running a web server, then we can basically look for files that might have hard-coded credentials in it. For example, there might be credentials in the MySQL database or in some configuration file or any PHP file or something like that. Okay, so you can look into the files. These are the files that was uploaded by the exploit itself. If we directly go to this directory itself, there are some files in it. There are some PHP files, and you can look into those PHP files. For example, let's see at user.php, get user ID from username. It might have some hard-coded credentials in it. You can look into those files. Basically, you need to do your enumeration yourself. So when I was doing enumeration, basically, first of all, you should try to look into configuration files. Okay, so let's go to the main app directory. It is a main app directory. Yeah. So if you go to the main app directory, you can see there is a configuration folder over here, config folder. You can check it out if it is a folder or not. Okay. Yeah, it is a folder. If you go into that configuration folder, let's see. We have some files over here. security.yml. You can look into those. Yeah, there's nothing of interest over here. So if you notice, there is a config.yml file and there's a configuration.php file. And when I was solving, I found some credentials in configuration.php file itself. PHP. I'll pipe it to less because this is a large file. Sorry, it didn't work, I guess. No issues. We can make this terminal stable. Let's do it first. And okay, still it is not working. Let's ignore it for now. Yeah, if we scroll through this file, through this PHP file, you'll basically notice some hard-coded credentials in it. Let's see. There's a lot. You can check it out by head. I don't know why isn't the arrow keys isn't working yet. Let's say 20. Okay. Where was our command? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we have got this password over here and the database name, database username, database host and all. So we can basically log in into MySQL database. So let's try that with these credentials. We have the database name and we have the port. Let's call it localhost and that was Tamibo. Need to supply the password. Okay. So now let's see what databases we have. Yeah, there are a lot of tables, but for our interest, we can look into the user table. First of all, let's see what columns it has. So we can look into this password column, this username column, user ID column. So let's list those. Select user ID, username, password from user. Yeah, so we have got some hash over here. And we can see that it is a bcrypt hash for admin and the other user is anon. Okay, so actually when I was solving this lab, I tried cracking these hashes, but it didn't work. We know that we have password over here. Okay, so sorry, I exited the cell. Excuse me. Let's run it again. Okay, let's listen on different port. Yeah. So we can look for users in this machine, which we didn't did earlier. Let's grep out for login shells only. Oh, is something wrong? No, I don't think so. Yeah. So we have only one user over here, MTZ, and another one is root user, obviously. So what we can try is, as we have a password, so we can try to log in. As we saw in the nmap scan, the SSH port was open. So we can try to log in using as MTZ using that password that we got from that configuration.php file. Okay, so let's copy that password. Where was it? Yeah, here it is. Apply the password. And yeah, we can see that we are able to log in as MTZ. Let's see. Yeah, we have got the user flag over here. Now, we need to do a little bit of more enumeration so that we can get root access. By the way, the root access was also pretty much straightforward itself. Let's see. If we run sudo-l, we can see that we are able to run opt acl.sh as root user as sudo. Okay, so let's check the file. So first of all, it is doing some checks. It is checking whether our target should be equal to this, and there shouldn't be any directory traversal strings in our target. Okay, and it should be a file. Okay, so it is basically using this binary setfscl. So actually, if we see the help menu, so setfscl, this binary is used to set access controls to other files. Okay, so we can leverage this to change the permission of particular files and then edit those files so that we can get root access. So first of all, what came in my mind when I was solving was to like change the permission of the root flag itself and like view that file. Okay, but actually that is not gonna work because we don't have access to root directory itself. Okay, so the next thing we can do is like create a new user as a root user, and then create its password, then edit the shadow file and password file. So for that, we can create a symlink. Okay, so let's try that out. Yeah, so we need to create a symlink, and let's call it password. Similarly, we can create a symlink for, let's say, shadow. Okay, no issues. Cat. Oh, sorry, we haven't changed the permissions yet. Okay, no issues. Now, what we need to do is we can run this file, okay, on this password and shadow files so that it will change the permissions of it and we'll be able to edit it basically. Let's try that. I guess we have those files yet. Yeah. Now the syntax is we need to pass a username, and then the permissions. We need read, write, and execute permissions, and then the file name. The file name should start with home empty set. Okay. Otherwise, this will not work. We don't need the M flag. Okay. Are we gonna need the password? Sorry. Yeah, so it worked. So we can just basically create a new root user, and we can do this like let's say it root 2. Now let's view the password file once again. Ah, I should have used double greater than. I'd have changed the whole password file. By the way, it is gonna delete it. There is no longer a sibling of that Etsy password. Okay, so we need to actually do that quickly. So first of all, I'll write all those commands so that we can run those commands pretty much quickly. So let's open Mousepad. So first of all, we need to create a symlink of Etsy password file as password, then of Etsy shadow as shadow. Then we will set access control on these files using acl.sh. Our username will be empty-z, and we need read, write, execute access on this. File name should start with. Similarly, we can do this with a shadow file. Yeah. After this, we need to edit the password file. So we can do this. Let's create a new user and let's call it root2. And after this, we also need to edit the shadow file and set the password for this root user. So first of all, we need to create the password for it. We can create it using OpenSSL, and we'll create a MD5 hash of the password. Let's call the password test. Okay. So before that, so yeah, we also need to echo this part in the shadow file. So before that, I need the format of that. Let's create a symlink, and then let's set the access to it. Yeah. So this is the format, and I'll change the password. And the username. Okay. And everything will be pretty much same. Actually, this is the complex way of doing it. There's one more method. I'll show it to you in a minute. It's again removed. So this time we are gonna do it pretty much quickly. I'm just gonna copy those commands and run it one by one. So that we can do it quickly before it gets deleted. Okay. Yeah. So now let's try to log in as root 2. The password was test. We can see that we have successfully logged in as root. If we go to the root folder, we have our root flag. So one more easy method to do this is to just edit the sudo's file. Okay. If you see, we don't have access to this sudo's file, like we won't be able to view it. So similarly, like we created a symlink for password and shadow file, we can create a symlink for sudo's file and just edit the sudo's file. Okay. So let's do that. This is gonna be pretty much straightforward. I guess it's not working or not. Let's create one more session. Okay, the machine is reset. Let's wait for a bit. So I've logged in again. So this time I'll show you a much more easier way to get root access. So similarly, like we created a symlink, we'll create a symlink for the etc sudo's file. Let's call it sudo's itself, and we will open it. Okay, we'll open it as sudo. Sorry. Before that, we need to set the access to it. Okay, so we can do that using opt acl.sh. Mention the username and the access, and then the file. Yeah. So now we have the access to the sudo file. We can just edit it and change it to all. Now if we do sudo su and just paste the password, we can see that we are logged in as root. If you go to the root, yeah, so we have the root flag over here. So this was the machine. This was pretty much straightforward. We just leveraged the permissions on a file to get root access. So we'll meet again in the next video with a new lab.